Everybody, and welcome to the Sunday night, October 24th edition of StudentLoanJustice.org. My name is Alan Collins, founder of Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest and largest and pretty much only true grassroots group, only and absolutely fighting for student loan justice for the first 16 years of our existence. That meant very moderately fighting for the return of bankruptcy protections to student loans. Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy, but it's a terrible thing to have to do. I'm here to tell you tonight that this lending system has catastrophically failed. Yeah, we still need bankruptcy protections back, but guys, this lending system is toast. It's done. It's time to cancel these loans. The president can do it by executive order. We started a petition calling for exactly that back in March 2020. We were largely a voice in the wilderness for many months, but I'm happy to report to you now that Elizabeth Warren and Chuck Schumer and others have embraced and are now calling, like we started to call back in over a year and a half ago, for the return of bankruptcy, or for the cancellation of all federally owned student loans by executive order. Very important distinction. Canceling student loans by executive order requires no congressional approval, no congressional appropriation, so no money needs to be drawn from the Treasury. Nothing needs to be added to the national debt. So the petition's kicking ass. We have over 1 million signatures. We are completing a great documentary on the topic, scaredtodebtmovie.com. Go check it out and spread the word about this film. We've worked very hard on it. We're imminently going to be pulling the trigger on something great, so hopefully everybody will be able to see it very soon. But do what you can do to support that film, guys. It's important. So a couple of announcements. See the pumpkin behind me? Pretty creepy, right? That's a super creepy little doll thing behind it, if you can't tell. We are doing, for Halloween, a pumpkin carving contest. Like a student loan related pumpkin carving contest. This is Heather and Vanessa over at our AV Club, Student Loan Justice AV Club. I will post a link to it below. Help out with this. Enter the contest. There's literally which we never do this, but there's actually a $50 gift card prize for the winner, as determined by votes on Instagram. Let's have some fun with this. I can't win, although my pumpkin back there freaking rocks, if I may say so. Not really. Yeah, I actually have two pumpkins. I'm going to have the bottom pumpkin. The small pumpkin on top is going to be the student, but I'm going to put that on the bottom. And then the big pumpkin is going to be on top of the small pumpkin. And the big pumpkin is going to be like the Department of Education, or maybe like Uncle Sam, or maybe Sally Mae, or something. I don't know what that little creepy doll chick. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but if you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm not the artist, so. But no, do that. Have some fun with it, guys. A big part of our thing is just spreading the word about our group. And it's sort of fun little things like this that really can sort of gel the whole community and help us spread the word. It's a very important fight that we're in, guys, and there should be 40 million people in this group on our side, whether they know it or not. Yes, it's true, 40 million. And that's kind of at the low end. I mean, there's about 55 million people in the country who either have student loans or are co-signed on them. But there are easily, before the pandemic, there were 38 million student loan borrowers, I kid you not, who were never going to be able to repay their loans. That's 80% of all borrowers, and that's only on the federal side, by the way. So private loans, different deal. These people should be in our group. We've got over 1 million people on our petition, which is great. That's like 2% of all federal student loan borrowers. But guys, we can do way better than this. The one thing we've learned over 16 years, and this is probably the most important thing we've learned, is that when everybody out there assumes that somebody else is going to pull their weight for them, we get nowhere. Nowhere. I'm telling you, like with 1 million people on our petition, I can put out a thing saying, hey, do this. And like sometimes like not even a couple hundred people do it. It's like Guys, that is not the way to win this battle. These are your loans. This is your problem. And, I know there's a sort of there's a thing where when a group gets bigger, the people in that group get lazier, or they just sort of assume that somebody else is going to do their work for them. And guys, I'm telling you, that's poison. Like, even when we had a very small group, it was very hard to get people to do stuff because, right? No, people hate student loans. They don't like to think about student loans. They don't want to do anything more than all the crap they've already been through. I get that. But at the same time, guys, you need to rethink your whole thought, your whole attitude. Because this is I don't want to put on too thick here, but this is a battle with national implications, with historically, like on a par with the founding of this country. I kid you not. John Adams said there are two ways to conquer and enslave a country. One is by the sword, the other is by debt. And ladies and gentlemen, whether you want to be here or not, we are the unfortunate pioneers in the front line. We are the infantry in the front line of that battle. If we lose on student loans and the 40 plus million people lose with us, our lives are wrecked for the rest of our lives. What do you think is going to happen to the next generation? What do you think is going to prevent the medical debt people, the credit card debt people, the home mortgage people, all the other lending pit vipers, snakes, swamp creatures out there? They would love to do to their loans what the country did to student loans. So this is the camel's nose under the tent. This is a very important battle that we're engaged in. This is your battle. I know you don't like that. I don't like it either. I'm an accidental activist just like everybody. But here we are, guys. Fight or flight, sink or swim. What are you going to do? You're going to think that the million people on our group, they're going to do anything? No, they're not going to do anything. Assume they're not going to do anything. Own this problem. This is your problem. This is your fight. We currently have most important thing, policy-wise, I'm going to say tonight, the way the lay of the land works right now, Biden sucks. He doesn't want to cancel loans. Said he was going to cancel loans. Doesn't want to cancel loans. He's part of the swamp. Fine. The thing that is going to compel loan cancellation is returning the threat of bankruptcy protections back to our side of the ledger. We've got to have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. When that happens, I guarantee you, within 24 hours, Joe Biden and the people around him are going to be like, Mr. President, we have to start broadly canceling loans. We have to. In an average year, less than a million people file for bankruptcy for any reason. With bankruptcy protections returned to these loans, the very real threat of tens of millions of people overwhelming the bankruptcy courts becomes very real. That's why bankruptcy is so important, guys. Not that you would ever file, just having the threat of filing on your side. Hopefully you never have to file. Nobody wants to file. I hope I never have to file. But we've got to have that threat back on our side. That's why it's so important. We're 100%. We're the group that started the petition about loan cancellation, right? I want loan cancellation. Everybody here wants their loans canceled. What will make that happen is what we've been fighting for 16 years, bankruptcy. The real threat here, guys, and we've seen this play out multiple times in the past, the big threat here is that the establishment, the swamp, the bad guys, the fake activists, whatever, all the people that's actually our opposition, they would love to see a fake loan cancellation program, much like any other loan cancellation program that we've had for decades. Public service loan forgiveness, fake. Only now, because of political action, are they starting to try to fix it. We'll see if that happens, but it's nonsense, guys. We have seen the bad guys foist fake loan cancellation programs on us since the 90s. Income contingent repayment, right? Program since like 1993 or 4 or 5. Millions of people tried for that. 32 people got it. 32 people out of millions got it. In 2007, some Harvard people, elitist, so-called student activists, They went great lengths to kill the push for the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans so they could give us public service loan forgiveness, income-based repayment. Yeah, how did that work? And guys, by the way, if you're in IBR and you're trying to go the 20 or 25 years, ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen. The Department of Education, and I hate to say this about the government, Department of Education has no intentions or desires of canceling any loans. Only with practically a gun to their head are they finally grudgingly moving their ass a little bit on public service loan forgiveness. We'll see if that bears any fruit. I don't believe anything the Department of Education commits to until it happens. And for very good reason, because they almost never honor their commitments. I hate to say that about a government agency. Federal government is fine. Department of Homeland Security and the Army and the Navy and the Agriculture Department, Health Human Services. I'm sure all those guys do bang up jobs of serving the country. The Department of Education is a captured, pernicious, nationally threatening loan shark. And they are on unconstitutional grounds. They are a national threat at this point. You know, conquering and enslaving a country by debt, that's pretty much the Department of Education's, that's their playbook. Like, that's their Sun Tzu mantra. You know, that's what they're doing. Whether they admit it or not, that's what's going on here, guys. So my point is, we've got to get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. We don't want to be fooled again. We don't want Biden to say, hey, look, I'm canceling up to $50,000 in loans. It's fine print. You have to earn less than $150,000 a year. You have to be full time. You have to be you have to be able to prove this, prove that. Yeah. By the time they get through all the weasel words, nobody gets it. And yeah, it's like, yeah, we're doing up to 50. So you're actually getting $6,000 in loan forgiveness. Congratulations. And oh, by the way, during the 6 months we were screwing around with this, we added $6,000 to your balance. So, oh, what do you know? Okay, well, that's what we can look forward to without bankruptcy back on our side. Listen to me, guys. Nobody wants to think about bankruptcy. We have to fight for bankruptcy. S2598 is in the Senate right now. It's being marked up basically as we speak. The sausage is being made right now. The best thing you can do right now is get a Republican senator. You're a Democrat, you hate Republicans? Too bad. Get a Republican, and you don't have to beg them. You don't have to kiss their ass. Get a Republican senator to co-sponsor S2598. Hey, we have a comment here from Aaron Root. Correct and great point, Alan. We already see the lack of commitment with student loan servicers. Bailing to sell the paper to another servicer while interest balloons and they're passively unearned. Right, exactly right, Aaron. The terrible thing about this predatory lending system is that for years and decades, the Department of Education, the servicers, they could make, it turned out, in the absence of bankruptcy protections, absence of statute of limitations, collection of a draconian collection regime that's like worse than the mafia by orders of magnitude, these people could make more money by doing a more terrible job at serving the customers, serving the loans they're supposed to be servicing. So the more they baffle, bamboozle, screw over, lie to, etc., the borrowers, the more money they'd make, because they, their ideal situation is getting a borrower to throw up their hands and say, fuck you, I'm done. And then defaulting on their loan, where all of a sudden the default becomes, many times orders of magnitude larger. That was their business model, guys. And thankfully, the lending system is now over a cliff. It's dead. It's a dead man walking. There is no saving it. In my humble opinion, nobody should ever pay another dime back on their loans, default or not, come what may. 50%, half of all borrowers were not paying before the pandemic. Right now, almost nobody is. And come February 1st or whenever the hell they decide to try and reanimate this dead lending system, nobody's going to pay, guys. Nobody's going to. They're just not. If even 25% of the people do it and maybe hang in for a few months, I'll be surprised. Yeah, it's the lending system's dead, guys. But this could have a good outcome. This could have a bad outcome. Um, and a good point, Aaron. I'm glad you raised that. This could have a good outcome. Could have a bad outcome. The bad outcome is a years and decades long painful unwinding where people start getting sued and there's probably civil unrest and suicides and broken families, and this lending system just kind of pretends that it exists for another 8 or 9 or 10 years, and then finally it's just we're done. But that's a terrible outcome, guys. Do you want to spend? I don't even want to spend another month in this fucking ridiculous, fake, idiotic, nonsensical, fiat, imaginary debt trap. Like, at this point, I'm 51 years old. I've learned to live my life without really even caring about student loans so much. So, I'm probably tougher than the rest. I've bulletproofed myself more than many people have. But if you're like me, you don't want this nonsense hanging like an albatross around your neck. So, if you do nothing, that bad outcome is going to be what happens. It just is. It's just the nature of bureaucracy. People love to do nothing in Washington, D.C. But soon as everybody starts getting pissed, and I mean, honestly, I hope everybody stops paying their loans. We'll see what happens. Hey, Lisa. Then we can put some real pressure on politicos. Like right now, as I said, getting a Republican senator to do the conservative thing, co-sponsor S2598, that is a huge thing. We've got 2 Republicans on this bill already. And for those of you who are maybe just joining in, haven't seen this live stream for a while, so we are a fiercely nonpartisan group, but we have to worry about partisan nonsense. We pretty much hate both parties, but I have to acknowledge that generally the Republicans have tended to oppose us over the years. And there's no good reason for it, because we are fighting a big government lending monstrosity that no true conservative could ever get behind. This is a college enriching fiasco. I mean, it's feeding the colleges, and conservatives say they hate colleges. It's wrecking red states, which is conservative states like Georgia, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, Missouri, North Carolina, South Carolina, on and on. I said Maryland, New Hampshire, South Dakota, etc. Republicans should be on our side. We can make a very strong argument for that. To that end, I want to put this maybe final bug in your ear. We would love to get Republican governors on our side. People like Ron DeSantis, Greg Abbott in Texas, Bill Lee in Tennessee, Henry McMaster in South Carolina, on and on and on. Kay Ivey in Alabama, Christy Neem in South Dakota, many others, Republican governors. All those guys that I just mentioned, all those states I just mentioned, Mike DeWine, Ohio, they all owe their states, student loan debt in their states exceeds their entire state budgets. Like, I'll give Georgia because it's the worst example. The people of Georgia owe $82 billion in student loan debt, mostly federal. The entire state budget of the state of Georgia is only $48 billion. So there's enough student loan debt in Georgia to literally buy every farm in the state twice. Every farm, every barn, every tractor, every milking machine, equipment, every farm in Georgia twice, and still have $15 billion left over. So no conservative governor with those kind of numbers should be allowing his or her state to be conquered and enslaved by this federal debt. This is a state sovereignty issue. If Republican governors are good for anything, I'm not sure that they are at this point, but if they are, they should be good for standing up to the federal government on behalf of their people. Well, this is what the governors of all the states that I just mentioned need to be doing. If you live in any of the states that I mentioned, why have you... Sorry, I don't want to be the heavy here, but if you live in any of those states that I mentioned, you have a duty. You have a duty to yourself, to your state, to the country, and to tens or millions of people who are going to follow in our footsteps. You have a duty to do everything that you can to get your governor to look at this stand up and call on the president to cancel these loans. Say, Mr. President, I will not have my great state of Texas, great state of Georgia, great state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, will not allow my state to be conquered and enslaved by this debt, in the immortal words of John Adams. I will not do it. Mr. President, you can cancel these loans with the stroke of your pen. Make that happen, Mr. President. When we get even one Republican governor to do that, I think that's probably the domino that will solve everything. So think about that. The stakes are high, guys. The stakes are very high. And you, with not much effort at all, could be the one person that tips over that domino. So if you've never talked or never even tried to contact your state government in the past, turn over a new leaf. This is a very strong argument. You know, even setting up a meeting with their staff, like even doing just that little, and bring us into it. You can find our contact info. Our email is justice@studentunjustice.org. Phone number 202-594-1120. Whatever. We will happily come in on that phone conference with the governor's staff in a meeting that you set up. You don't have to say anything beyond that. You can say whatever you want, but if you don't want to say anything, we're happy to do all the talking, because in the words of some cop in that one movie, the bank robbery movie, this shit sells itself. Like, this is not a hard argument to make. You just put the numbers in front of the governor. And, you know, what more do you have to say? Your state is being wrecked by federal student loan debt. The president can get rid of it tomorrow. So what are you doing, governor? Do your job. Strong argument. But we'll never be able to make it until you, sitting there in your place, wherever you may be, set up that meeting for us, or do something else. I don't care what you do, but do whatever it takes to get your governor to stand up and say, Mr. President, cancel these loans. Return bankruptcy protections to the loans that cannot be canceled. You know, if the stars really aligned, we could even obviate the whole bankruptcy thing if we were to get something like that. We still need bankruptcy. We will always need bankruptcy. That lies at the core of this issue. But I'm just saying, you can save the freaking country, you sitting there by yourself almost, by getting that first Republican governor to do what I said. So, hey, Aaron also says, if my $309,000 loan were refinanced to an appropriate $75K, I'd gladly commit to repayment. But they won't do that, and Payne is agreeing to the corruption. Yeah, exactly, Aaron. You know, and a lot of people say, you know, if they would just cancel the interest, if they would just, I don't know, just let me go back to principal, interest only, you know, and all those things sound really good. But the fact of the matter is that the government is not going to do that. And in fact, there is no law that you could pass. There's no executive order that you could write that says, yeah, just cancel interest and let them go from there. Because it's just, as a practical matter, due to the complexity of the lending system, it is impossible to write code that actually achieves that. You know, for many loans, the repayment history is not there. Many loans have been sliced and diced and bought and sold, rehabilitated, consolidated, otherwise rejiggered, so that it's literally impossible to know how much of the loan is principal versus interest versus fees, etc. So I totally get what you're saying, Aaron, and a lot of people say that. They're like, you know, if you could just do this, take off the interest or whatever, something along, that'd be great. Now, here's the thing, Aaron. You can't write legislation that will make that happen. There's no law that you can pass for the reasons I mentioned. But with the threat of bankruptcy back on our side, everything changes, because all of a sudden the Department of Education has a completely new set of incentives. Now it's like, okay, what do you want? You want something or do you want nothing? Then all of a sudden they're like, well, you know, we're not exactly sure how much you borrowed, but it kind of looks like you probably maybe originally borrowed this much, and yeah, we're not sure, but how does this sound? We're going to take this. You're going to be left with your $75,000, Aaron, and we'll put you on pay this much a month for this amount of time. What do you say? That's how the real world works, by the way, with all other loans, because all other loans have bankruptcy protections. So, and, you know, Not for many people, bankruptcy is the only option at this point. They've paid enough, and screw you. And if they can't negotiate with the Department of Education, then fuck you. File bankruptcy and be done with it. That's why the threat of bankruptcy is so important, guys. The founding fathers called for bankruptcy ahead of the power to declare war, ahead of the power to raise an army in Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. Read it. You'll be amazed. But yeah, right now, without bankruptcy, without any kind of meaningful loan cancellation, do not sign anything. I tell everybody, in my humble opinion, nobody should ever pay another dime again. I will personally never sign anything that the Department of Education ever puts in front of me again. I'm not re-legitimizing this fucking nonsense debt, pardon my French. So you raised a good point, Aaron. So Lisa says, Georgia chapter of student loan justice, please step up. I echo those comments. Georgia, at least on paper, is the most important state in the country. That $48 billion state budget versus $82 billion in student loan debt, that's a very easy sell. And look at the most recent Georgia election. How did that go for the Republicans? Like, even with election fraud or whatever happened at the margins, the only reason that state was even close is because of the student loan issue. There's, I can't remember. I think there's like 2.5 or 3 million people in Georgia with student loans. 80% of them were freaking out about their loans before the election. Joe Biden, however insincerely, was promising the sun and the moon and the stars before the election, loan cancellation, bankruptcy. That's why he won that state, like by a lot. And if Republicans don't want to become a vestige, what's an unuseful organ that you evolve, and that organ, like the appendix, is no longer useful? The Republicans don't want to become that. They don't want to fade into oblivion. So they need to be on our side. We can go to Georgia. We can say, Governor Brian Kemp, what the fuck are you doing? Pardon my French. Your state, which was originally chartered as a refuge for imprisoned debtors, is now a virtual prison for debtors. What are you doing, Governor? Why are you letting the federal government destroy your state on this ridiculous debt? Join us, Governor. Fight for your people over the swamp in Washington, D.C. So if you live in Georgia, what are you doing, man? Come on, we need you. As I said earlier, one thing we've learned is when you do nothing, you sitting there watching this, nothing happens. Ask Lisa. Lisa Ansel knows. Lisa Ansel has moved the sun and the earth over the past 6 months. I mean, she has gotten all kinds of stuff done with smart phone calls, perseverance, and determination. I don't know how many hours she's put in, and she's probably done a lot more than I would expect from most people, to her great credit. But you can't sit there and wait and watch and worry and think that we're going to solve your problem for you. You got to put your own work in on this block. From another movie, Training Day. I'm just a wealth of sort of pithy movie quotes tonight, but vestigial, yes, exactly. A vestige. Thank you, Aaron. Oh, wow, Lisa. We have some smart people on this group, I have to say. I think you even spelled that right, both of you. Wow, good for you. Chris Seliner says, thank you, Alan, for your dedication. I watched the USC presentation. Yeah, speaking of Lisa got our film, which hopefully will be on Netflix or Hulu or something like that very soon. She got that film screened at the University of Southern California, a very conservative university, which is just perfect. A leading senator, not conservative, Chuck Schumer, but still, a leading senator showed up at that screening and gave opening remarks. That's a pretty cool thing. That's a very important thing, very helpful thing. And, I don't expect everybody to get something like that tremendous done, but who knows? Everybody on this group can think for themselves. They're smart. They've been to college, probably, at least. Maybe they didn't graduate, but we have talents. We have skills. We're not worthless. We're not a bunch of zombies watching YouTube. We are living, breathing people. I am a living, breathing borrower, just like you. I want these loans gone. I want them gone. So if you live in Georgia, live in Texas, all those states I mentioned, but no matter where you live, you should be helping. Anybody can pick up the phone and send a tweet or a Twitter. Anybody can go to our website and do the daily actions. Literally, go to the daily updates. You'll see actions going back months and months and months. These actions take 15 seconds usually to do. Anybody can go there, studentlawnjustice.org. Anybody can join their state chapter. Again, go to the website. You can join your state chapter. Try and get something going locally, because all politics is local, as they say. Oh, and Lisa's got another sort of a teaser comment for us. Another big event planned for January. Stay tuned. Knock on wood, we'll see. Ask your college if they want to screen our film. Send them to the link, scaredtodebtmovie.com. We're very happy to come give a presentation. It's not a hard thing to do. So, look, and this is... If this group were a band, we'd be like the Grateful Dead, okay? We don't have a huge budget. We are a bunch of normal, living, breathing human beings. We don't have the resources. We don't have a marketing team. We don't have almost any budget to speak of, save what we need to literally keep the lights on this end, and so on and so forth. What we have is you, and what you have is us, everybody else in this group. So... yeah. I hope that, I'm going to sign off here pretty soon, but I hope, if nothing else, when you leave this live stream, you're going to be thinking to yourself, shit, maybe I should do something. And maybe you shouldn't, maybe just think outside the box. You're smart, you're creative, you're clever, you've got your own talents and skills. There's a million things you can do, and we don't want to micromanage you. We want you to do your own thing, but we need you to do something. So I've probably thrown out, a dozen or so possible things that you could do. Rewatch this live stream if you need any tips and tricks. But don't do nothing, guys. And just remember, I hope that you'll take my word for it when I tell you, don't be distracted by all the bullshit out there. There's a lot of people that want to keep this lending system going. A lot of bad people. Some of them funded by our opposition, even. Fake grassroots groups, etc. They would love to distract you and entice you into inactivity. They love you sitting on their ass, hypnotized and mesmerized by their nonsense. We don't do that. We're not that. That's them. Don't watch them. Stick with our agenda. Bankruptcy and canceling student loans. Those are the two things that will actually move the needle for us. Believe me, after 16 years of trying everything, exploring every opportunity, every option, that is what is working. That's worth fighting for. So rewind this live stream and pick out 5 actions. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm done with this. Lisa says, we're so grassroots, we wake up the smell of fertilizer. That's right. That's right. Fertilizer ain't got nothing on us. So, on that note, I'm going to leave it there with that. Have a great night. Carve a pumpkin. I'm tired of hearing the sound of my own voice. I'm far more interested in hearing what you all are doing out there. So come on, give us something to brag about. Give me something so that I can say that Joe Blow in Sioux City, South Dakota, or Sioux City, Iowa, did this awesome thing. Put it on, take a picture of your pumpkin, make a video. But make something happen. We're counting on you. And as corny as it may seem, the country needs you on this. So, good luck. Happy Sunday. Godspeed. And God bless everybody. Oh, and if you can do a donation, please do it. Thank you. Go to the website.